Hello, Gordon here with a Facebook Live that I've called The 2-Hour Marathon is Coming, because the marathon world record has only gone and gone at the weekend. The world marathon record has been broken by Eliud Kipchoge of Kenya in Berlin, and he ran a time of 2 hours 1 minute 59, or it might be 57 seconds, and that broke the previous world record that had been set by fellow Kenyan Dennis Kimeto in 2014, also at Berlin, and that was 2 hours 2 minutes and 57. And Berlin is used a lot for people trying to break the world record because it seems to be a good course, and obviously they've had lots of world records broken there, so why wouldn't someone go there if they're trying to break it? And when Dennis broke it in 2014, 4 years ago, there was a big hoo-ha because that was the first time that the 2 hours 3 minute barrier had been broken. And people were thinking, well, when are we going to get under 2 hours and 2 minutes? Well, now is the answer. It's taken 4 years and it's all happened in one chunk. And there's quite a chunk gone, isn't it? Nearly a minute and a half, or a minute and 20 seconds. So 2 hours, 1 minute and 50 odd seconds. So this is the men, by the way, of course. The women, the world record in the women is actually held by Britain, Paula Radcliffe, at 2 hours and 15 minutes. Although in the women's they have, oh, here we go, they have two separate world records, because Paula Radcliffe's world record was set in a race that had men and women in it, and she had men running with her, basically pacemaking for her. But it was a recognised world record at 2 hours 15 odd. There's a women only marathon record, which is at 2 hours 17. Obviously they had pacemakers, but no male pacemakers. So Eliud Kipchoge, 2 hours 1 minute odd for the marathon world record. So the 2 hour marathon, to do a marathon in 2 hours, it's coming, isn't it? It's not a question of if it'll happen, it's a question of when it'll happen. And in fact, Eliud Kipchoge has been close himself. He's the current holder of the London Marathon, he's the current Olympic champion, and he missed the 2 hour mark by 20 odd seconds not too long ago. But it's a funny thing, he had pacemakers that came in and out of the race. It gets a bit technical because all marathon world records, they have pacemakers, and it's allowed, and the pacemakers last for a certain level in the race and then drop out, but they start with him. So if they've got pacemakers that start with him, drop out and then come back in again, well, that isn't allowed. I'm saying it's getting a bit technical because that is a technicality. I mean, the runner who's trying to set the world record is the one doing the running all the way through consistently. So that's a bit of a technicality about the world record, but you've got to have these technicalities because you've got to have a fixed benchmark that you're working on. And for example, they also have the world's fastest marathon, or the world's marathon's best, which is might be quicker than the official world marathon, but it doesn't count in the record books, in the history books, because the slope is downhill too much. The gradient of the 26 miles can only go downhill a certain amount for it to be an officially recognised distance, so the times count. Does that make sense? So it's very exciting for a sports fan. Particularly I've done the marathon. I've done the marathon. No, you haven't. Yes, I bloody have. I did the London Marathon in 2008. Did I get near the 2 hour mark? Well, no, I missed it by, well, I was only a few hours out. But it's a bit like the 4-minute mile, isn't it? I say a bit like it because it's not quite the same, because when the 4-minute mile was being looked at Broken and there was all the excitement and hoo-ha about it, it was thought at one time that it was impossible for a man to run a mile in 4 minutes. Of course, people in athletics knew it was perfectly possible, and they were saying it's not a case of if, it's a case of when. And there were two people, Roger Bannister and John Landy, who were competing, and it was which one was going to get there first. So in the marathon, it helps that there are lots of people who are there or thereabouts at world record time. So there's this competition push behind it. And unlike, say, the pole vault world record, where Sergei Bubka and then following in his tracks Yelena Isinbayeva would break the world record by 1 centimetre at a time, even though they could have gone further, they broke it by 1 centimetre at a time so that they could say, oh, I've set this amount of world records. Oh, and by the way, they got paid a lot of money every time they broke it. So whether you think that's right or wrong, you can understand why they only broke the record by 1 centimetre at a time. That's not really going to work in the marathon world record, because I can assure you, anyone who is close enough to get to 2 hours wants to be the person who breaks the 2-hour mark. And since this recent world record has taken a minute and a half off it, well, the next time it's set, it could be under 2 hours. Oh, it's very exciting. 2 hours for the marathon though, let's think about it. That's what I call freak show running. Because if we look at the 4-minute mile, if you ran for an hour at 4-minute mile pace, you're going to get 15 miles in an hour, aren't you? 15 miles in an hour is running each mile at 4 minutes. Well, a 2-hour marathon, that's 13 miles every hour for 2 hours. So they're not far short. It's about 4.5, it's under 5 minutes a mile for 26 miles in a row without stopping, which is why I say that it's freak show running. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.com. Oh, I can't wait for the 2-hour mark to go. I will be doing a video about it, surprisingly enough, because I'm doing a video and, well, it's been broken again by a big old chunk, hasn't it? So it's very exciting in the world of sport. And of course, in the world of goal achievement, it's a classic goal achievement thing to tick off, running the marathon, which is why I did it. But to run the fastest marathon ever, or officially fastest ever in the history books, wow. And to be the first to get under 2 hours, when's it going to come? Very exciting. It could be this year, could be next year, could be another 4 years. And by the way, once we get under 2 hours, which, as I say, is not a case of if, it's a case of when, how fast can the marathon be done in? Because way back when people said, oh, you can't run a marathon, you can't run a minute. I'll start again. People said way back when, you can't run a mile in 4 minutes. Well, of course, you could. And once that time was broken, you know, running a 4-minute mile is not easy, by the way. I keep thinking I should set that as the target. That'll take a lot of lifestyle changes and dedicated practice, but there are plenty of people all the way around the world who run 4-minute miles all the time. But once we get under 2 hours for the marathon, how fast can we go? Can a marathon, will we get in the future at some point a marathon run in 1 hour? Now I would say no. That's not possible. That's not humanly possible. Is it? Could we get a marathon done in 1.5 hours? Or 1 hour 45? What's the limit? Well, we don't know, do we? Because we're not there yet. At the moment, the limit is 2 hours, 1 minute and 50 odd seconds, as set this weekend by Eliud Kipchoge of Kenya. Who knows how far we could go, which is of course another goal achievement point. If you're going to break the world record, there's that set time that you've got to break. But if you go beyond that, you're stepping into the unknown where no one has ever gone before. As I talk a lot about in goal achievement, unless you're into these realms of breaking a marathon world record or something like that, in all likelihood, someone else has achieved your goal. Whether that's in health, wealth, career, relationships or lifestyle, someone else probably already has achieved it. And that means the knowledge of how they achieved it is out there. Which means you could use that knowledge as a plan, couldn't you? As a plan of action. Now all of that is part of what I call the 8-step goal achievement formula that I've used for decades to go on many different adventures and get some achievements done. And you can ask me more about that 8-step goal achievement formula, and I also cover it in my Transform Your Life Now coaching, where I call myself a facilitator, because I don't come up with right or wrong answers, but I facilitate the work that you do on the transformations that you want to make in the areas of life that you choose. So yes, anyway, there we go. Let me know what you think about the marathon world record now being set at 2 hours, 1 minute and 50 odd. I hope all is well with you, physically and mentally. Wishing you as ever health and happiness, and I will speak to you again soon.